I've never met somebody with a fantastic life who did not completely and utterly believe in themselves. I've never seen somebody massively succeed and they didn't believe in themselves, ever. I've never seen somebody who just allows life to happen to them and become blown off course by some sadness, end up doing massively monumental and important things. I've never seen it because it's competitor, it's player versus player. And there's people like me out here. So when that breaks your heart and you take a few months off and she ends up on my jet, and if she leaves me afterwards, let's say she just likes to leave men, I don't care. I'm still working. You're still crying. You can't possibly ever beat me. I'll continue to beat you into eternity, as will my bloodline. You will sit and pay the price for the rest of your human years. Even your ancestors above you are disappointed in you, and your offspring for the rest of your lineage will look up and say, my great-great-great-grandfather was a loser because I broke his heart, and now we've been broke ever since.
Yeah.
Funny how we often seek validation from the outside world, waiting for someone to notice us, to clap for us, to say we are enough, when in truth, the most powerful validation comes from within. How to believe in yourself is not some mystery locked behind success, fame, or approval. It starts with a simple yet life-changing decision to look within and say, I am already worthy. When you believe in yourself, you don't need to convince anybody about how great you are. Your confidence does the talking for you. It enters the room before you do. People may not understand what drives you, but they will feel the energy you carry. Because belief isn't about shouting your worth. It's about owning it so deeply that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. That's the first powerful shift, realizing that belief doesn't come from the world, it comes from the you that's been quietly cheering for you all along. And from that first shift, the second unfolds naturally: contentment. When you are truly content with who you are, you stop needing external applause to feel seen, because you've already given yourself permission to shine. There's a deep calm that settles in your soul when you accept yourself fully, not because you've reached some final version of yourself, but because you stopped fighting who you are right now. This kind of peace cannot be faked. You realize that the world's opinions, though loud, don't define your direction. And so you stop running toward every voice that calls you and instead start listening to the only voice that matters, your own. When you accept yourself, the world slowly begins to reflect that back to you. You stop filtering your personality to fit into spaces you were never meant to belong to. You stop shrinking to make others feel comfortable. You let go of the exhausting act of pretending and start embracing your uniqueness. The quirks, the flaws, the wild dreams, all of it. And when you do that, people don't just see you, they feel you. Because authenticity has a power that perfection never will. The moment you accept yourself is the moment you become magnetic. You don't chase anymore, you attract. Self-belief isn't just about thinking good things about yourself. It's about knowing who you are and walking in that truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when others don't understand. There's a fire that ignites when you live aligned with your values, when your actions reflect your core. That alignment gives you strength. People may question your choices, but they won't be able to shake your foundation, because when you stand in your truth, you stop playing small to fit in and instead start expanding to fit your full potential. The world can push, but you no longer bend, you rise, because your roots are deep in truth. And when you live in truth, you send a message to the universe, a clear, bold signal that says, I am ready. Believing in yourself isn't just an inner transformation, it's an energetic shift. The world responds to it. Opportunities begin to appear, paths begin to clear. It's not magic, it's momentum, the kind of momentum that only belief can create. Doubt slows you down, belief accelerates everything. And the more you believe, the more you attract things that are in alignment with your purpose. But none of this works unless you make one very important decision, and that's choose yourself every single day. Not just on your good days, but on the days when you feel like giving up. Choose yourself when you're full of doubt. Choose yourself when you're the only one who sees the vision. Because belief isn't a one-time thing, it's a daily choice. And every time you choose yourself, you strengthen that muscle. You begin to build unshakable faith. You begin to rely less on motivation and more on discipline. And eventually you become unstoppable, not because things got easier, but because you got stronger. So if you're wondering how to believe in yourself, start here. Know that you already have everything you need inside you. You don't need to be louder, you just need to be more honest. And you don't need the world to say yes, you need to stop telling yourself no. Because the moment you truly believe in yourself, the universe takes notice. It starts shifting things in your favor. Not because you're lucky, but because you're ready. Believe, not because someone told you to, but because deep inside you know you were always meant to. And that's the truth most people forget. Not because they aren't capable, but because the noise of the world drowns out their inner voice. Every time someone tells you you're not good enough, that voice gets quieter. Every time you compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel, that voice starts to fade. But belief is never gone. It's just waiting for you to turn down the noise and listen inwards again, because deep within there's still a spark, a flicker of fire that refuses to die. And that spark is the beginning of everything. It doesn't matter how many failures you face. What matters is what you choose to do next, because belief isn't about perfection. It's about resilience. It's about getting up one more time than you fell. It's about trusting that every setback has a lesson. Every delay has a reason. And every challenge is shaping you into something stronger. You see, people who truly believe in themselves aren't fearless. They're just willing to move forward despite the fear. That's power. You don't need a stage to validate your worth. You don't need a trophy to know you've won something. Sometimes the biggest victory is showing up for yourself when no one else does. You were always meant to rise. You were always meant to shine. But no one can give you that permission except you. So choose you. Forgive your past. Embrace your present. Fight for your future. And most importantly, trust the voice within. It might be shaky, but it's real and it's enough. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to believe that you're capable of figuring it out. Step by step, day by day, breath by breath. Because once you believe in yourself, truly believe, you stop asking, can I, and start declaring, I will. And that shift changes everything, because when you move from doubt to determination, the way you carry yourself transforms. You walk into rooms differently. You stop lowering your voice to make others comfortable and start raising your standards to match your worth. And slowly people begin to notice not just what you do, but who you are becoming. You become a mirror for others, showing them what belief looks like in real time. You inspire without trying, lead without forcing, and attract opportunities by simply staying true to yourself. Because belief has a frequency. And once you start vibrating at that level, the right people, the right places, and the right timing begin to flow into your life. Not because it's magic, but because you are finally aligned with your own power. But here's the thing, believing in yourself doesn't mean you'll never face fear again. No, in fact, belief invites new levels. And with every new level comes a new version of fear. But now you don't run from it, you face it. You stand tall and say, I've been through worse. I'm not backing down now. That's the difference. Before you feared failure, now you fear giving up on yourself. Before you needed approval, now you are your own proof. This is the quiet evolution of a person who finally realizes their worth. No spotlight, no announcement, just growth. And once you reach that place, something even greater awakens, purpose. Because belief opens the door, but purpose shows you the path. When you believe in yourself, you stop asking, what if I fail, and start asking, what impact can I make? Your focus shifts from fear to legacy, from insecurity to contribution, from surviving to truly living. And isn't that the point? Just to exist, but to live fully, freely, fearlessly. So keep choosing yourself, keep showing up, even on the days when your confidence feels shaky. Keep betting on the person you're becoming, because one day you'll look back and smile, not because everything went perfectly, but because you finally learned how to believe, and that changed everything. But because you finally learned how to believe, and that changed everything. Because life was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be real, raw, messy, beautiful, all at once. And when you begin to believe in yourself, truly and unapologetically, you stop waiting for perfection to begin. You start exactly where you are with whatever you have, and you trust that it's enough. You stop fearing the chaos, the setbacks, the detours, because you understand now that all of it is part of the becoming. There's something powerful about choosing to move forward without having all the answers. It means you're no longer paralyzed by the unknown. You've accepted that growth doesn't come from staying safe. It comes from showing up in the storm and saying, I'll find my way. And that kind of courage, it's magnetic. It pulls life towards you in ways you never imagined. Not because you're lucky, but because you finally stop standing in your own way. You see, most people never fail because they weren't good enough. They stopped because they never gave themselves the chance to try. But you, the moment you chose to believe, you rewrote your entire story. You silenced the voice of I'm not enough and replaced it with I'm still learning, but I'm not giving up. You replaced hesitation with action, fear with faith, doubt with discipline. And day by day, even when nothing seemed to be changing on the outside, you were shifting something deep within. And that internal shift, that's where the real transformation begins. Because the world can only see what you first see in yourself. If you see yourself as weak, the world will treat you that way. If you carry insecurity, people will sense it and life will reflect it. But when you look in the mirror and finally see someone who is worthy, not perfect, not flawless, but worthy, everything begins to align. Your energy changes, your choices change, your circle changes. And slowly, your life begins to change. You no longer chase people to see your value. You simply show up as yourself and let those who are meant for you stay. Because you finally accepted that you were born to stand out. But let's be honest, belief isn't a constant high. It's not something you feel every minute of every day. There will be mornings where doubt creeps back in, days when comparison steals your joy, moments where you question everything, and that's okay. Because belief isn't about never falling, it's about building the strength to rise again, stronger, wiser, more committed. And the beautiful part, the more you rise, the more you realize you were never alone. Your journey becomes a lighthouse for someone else lost at sea. Your courage becomes permission for someone else to start. You become proof that rising is possible, that healing is real, and that self-belief is the foundation of everything. That's the ripple effect of choosing yourself. When you stop dimming your light, others find the courage to turn theirs on too. And before you know it, you're not just living, you're leading. Not with titles or applause, but with presence, with purpose, with truth. So if you're reading this and wondering if you're enough, let me remind you, you are. Not because you've done everything right, but because you're still here, still trying, still dreaming. And that means there's more ahead for you than behind you. Your belief doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Start small if you have to. Whisper to yourself if shouting feels like too much. But start, because once you do, the universe starts moving too. People you've never met, chances you never saw coming, doors you never knew existed, all start to open. Not because you force them, but because your energy aligned with them. So keep showing up, even when it's slow, even when no one claps, even when your knees shake. Because belief doesn't demand a crowd, it just requires a heart willing to try again. And someday, not far from now, you'll look back and realize everything changed not when life got easier, but when you got braver. That's the power of belief. That's the power of choosing yourself. And that is how you rise. But rising isn't a one-time event. It's a daily decision. It's the quiet courage to stand back up every time life knocks you down. It's choosing growth when comfort whispers, stay here. It's believing in a version of yourself that you haven't even fully met yet, but trusting that they're worth fighting for. The truth is, we don't grow because everything is easy. We grow because we decide not to quit. And belief, real unshakable belief, is the fuel that keeps us going in the dark. It's what carries you when motivation fades. It's what steadies your hands when fear tries to take the wheel. And it's what keeps your vision alive when no one else can see it. Because there will be days when nothing makes sense. Days when your plans fall apart, when the people you trusted walk away, when your own reflection doesn't feel like home. And on those days, belief will be your anchor, not in a loud, dramatic way, but in a quiet, unbreakable one. It'll whisper, this moment won't break you. You've come too far. Keep going. Belief isn't a loud roar. Most of the time, it's just a soft voice saying, try again. And so you do. You try again, not because you have to, but because the version of you that exists beyond fear is waiting for you to stop doubting the very magic that only you carry. Because you weren't made to just exist. You were made to evolve, to expand, to take up space in this world unapologetically. The dreams inside you, they aren't random. They are part of your design, planted in you for a reason, to guide you, stretch you, and remind you of what's possible when you believe. Start before you feel ready. Speak before your voice stops shaking. Move before you're sure where the path leads. Because belief will carry you further than any plan ever could. And once you begin living like that with belief as your compass, life opens up. You stop just surviving and start creating. You no longer wait for the right moment, you become it. The right energy, the right action, the right mindset. But here's what makes it even more powerful. Belief doesn't just change your life, changes your legacy. Because the way you rise teaches others how to rise. Your healing becomes a map. Your courage becomes a signal. And somewhere, someone who was about to give up sees your light and thinks, if they can do it, maybe I can too. It lifts others by lifting you first. So today and every day, make this your vow. Believe in your worth even when no one else sees it. Believe in your vision even when it feels miles away. Believe in your heart, your story, your struggle, your strength. Believe, not because it's easy, but because you are worth it. You've already overcome so much. You've already proven that you are resilient, capable, worthy. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for a perfect sign. Stop waiting for someone else to call you powerful. Call yourself powerful. Call yourself